So when you think about the golden era of guitar, you probably think the 1960s, 70s, maybe even the 80s. But what I'm going to argue today is that that golden era was actually much closer to our times. I'm going to argue why that golden era may actually have been 2015 to 2020. Hi everyone, welcome back to the Ministry of Guitar. I'm Utkarsh coming to you from Singapore. Um, this video, for those of you watching in the future, is happening in April 2025, so we are a little distracted by what's going on in general with the world. But just to zoom it down, or zoom in rather, to the world of guitars, something happened last week which I did not find very pleasant, which was the shutting down of GAK, one of the shops in the UK, one of the guitar shops. Pretty large, pretty old, relatively speaking. And it made me a little sad. And the reason it made me a little sad is this guitar you see right here. Those of you who watched this channel from the very beginning know that this is one of my favorite guitars. This is a guitar that my wife actually, before we got married, when she was flying for Singapore Airlines, she actually, when she was flying to, she had a flight to London. She actually went down from London all the way to where GAK was, and she actually got this guitar for me because I had located the exact guitar I wanted. This was a McCarthy 594, a PRS, single cut, when it had just come out. So she'd actually gone down all the way and physically gotten it from GAK and carried it back to me. 3, 4. So this is a very special moment. This guitar has been flown in by Nidhi all the way from Brighton. She knew really wanted this guitar, and I don't think there was any chance of it coming to Singapore anytime soon, so it was very lucky that we had a flight. So I think when you zoom in on the case, I think people can really see, you can tell what this is. If you see the pattern, you should probably get a sense already. I don't know if the light can show, the lighting isn't great, but yeah. This, of course, is a PRS, and as you can tell with all those metal patterns, this is not a regular PRS, this is a wood library, and it's a 594. The guitar that ever since it came out last year, first in the double cut, I really wanted it. I'm a Les Paul player. I've always wanted, I have a few Les Pauls. I've been playing Les Paul since I started Epiphone to begin with, and yeah, this was really the best expression of Les Paul. So I'm super excited. I haven't opened this yet, so yeah, let's just open it and see how it looks. All right. Solid case, better than my other PRS. I don't know. Whoa. Oh my god, look at that. Wow, it looks even better than I thought it would. So those of you probably know, this is called the burnt maple leaf. For me, it's a combination of my favorite colors. I love red, I love the black grayish thing. So this is just wow. Oh, and look at that. The maple back. Oh wow, it feels like it's quite heavy. It feels like my Les Paul, a bit lighter than my traditional, but much more heavy than my other PRS. So for me, this particular guitar, of course, which was my number one gigging guitar for a long time. And GAK in general had a place because they were very, very nice to her. They helped her everything. She knew nothing about guitars. She had barely met me at the time, maybe a couple of years, less than that definitely. So they were very, very nice. And to go and pick up a guitar, pick up something of high value, because this is a pretty high value guitar, they made it very nice. They made it very easy for her. So I've always had a fondness for them. But as I was thinking about what's going on with GAK and other retailers shutting down, and in general all the turmoil and uncertainty facing the guitar world in general due to, of course, into April 2025, the tariff situation, it struck me that we were onto something special just a few years ago. You see, before 2020, when all the injection of cash and monetary easing made inflation a massive problem, and then of course a lot of people got into the guitar market, little bit momentarily, but causing all sorts of things like price surges and different whole bunch of issues. Supply, first there was lack of supply, now there's oversupply. Before that, around 2015 to 2020, I would say we were in kind of an interesting, new, brave new world for guitar. For one, guitar content on the internet was really coming into its own. And think of the Andertons channel, think of Rob Chapman back then, think of Ola England getting his start, think of Phil McKnight, think of, I'm talking about a lot of YouTube guitars, but I'm just giving you an example. um, so much stuff to do with guitar, so much stuff to do with recording, so much stuff to do with just understanding this hobby. That information was just not available easily. And suddenly it was all there. It was all coming up on the internet. It was a very, very exciting time. For me personally, even though I started playing guitar in 2004, and of course I've been playing and gigging since about 2006, I would say my guitar abilities and general interest in guitar was quite stable, which means not very high but decent enough from 2006 to 2015ish. And 2015ish, I discovered guitar YouTube, and as just as that entire thing was blossoming, I'm sure that's the case for a lot of us. And what happened was a transformation, for me at least, in my guitar playing ability, in my recording ability, in my understanding of how to play guitar, my understanding of how to get sounds, certain techniques, everything was there. I still remember seeing videos from Josh Middleton how to do sweep picking, just to give one example. It was such a resource, and there was just so much interesting stuff coming out. And honestly, guitars weren't that expensive yet, because what has happened in 2024, and I was reminded of this when I just went to the recent retailer, is that new guitars, particularly new nice guitars like new made in USA PRSs or whatever it might be, Gibsons, they've become very, very expensive. I know that overall inflation means that everything has become expensive, but it was just a very different time where you could get a lot more special guitars at much more affordable relative to the income price point. So that was one aspect of it. It was an exciting time to be discovering guitar, yet at the same time you could kind of afford a lot of the things, and there were very interesting, even affordable guitars coming out at that point in time. So, when somebody made a special edition, it was actually a special edition. Think of today, where sometimes it's just a different color or very, very minor tweaks. But now, back then, somehow there was a space in the margins that guitar companies had. There was availability of the different kind of woods or whatever else it might be to just do that. And even guitar content, the whole reason I do Ministry of Guitar is that I found all the content that was getting created on YouTube very, very useful. And I felt that I also had something to add to that, which is why the whole idea of Ministry of Guitar came in. I mean, I love the Andertons music channel. I don't watch them so much anymore, but I'm sure a lot of people watching guitar YouTube started there. A lot of my guitar playing was influenced by one of the I would say musicians who found their initial voice there, which is of course Rabia Masal, and of course they used to do a very interesting segment called Sounds Like, or rather how to sound like a certain band at a certain budget. They started with £1,000, but as things got more expensive, it became £1,500 and so on and so forth. So there's a certain innocence to it. If you look at guitar YouTube or guitar content today, one, it is heavily, very heavily saturated. I am also adding to the saturation, so my apologies on that. But in general, the initial innocence, the initial purity of just trying out new stuff, answering questions that everybody always wanted answered, but they hadn't been answered in video form earlier. It was very, very interesting. Even for me, I thought I made 2 or 3 videos which nobody had seen before. I think I was one of the first to compare the high gain tones of a Explorer versus a Firebird. I always wondered, I like playing metal, Explorer's a metal guitar, but what about a Firebird? Can I do metal properly as well? Other than my atrocious playing back then, you can kind of tell. There was nothing else back there. I even made a video with my wife, then girlfriend or fiance, I can't quite recall, about my fledgling guitar collection. And then, of course, later bringing in the wife or the girlfriend or the significant other became a whole thing on guitar YouTube. But all of those things were new ideas back then. And now, as I look at the guitar landscape in 2025, it's much bleaker. One, of course, what's happening in terms of all the different geopolitical and economic things with what's going on with the US and the rest of the world. It's going to make life for any company difficult, let alone companies operating in a relatively niche market like electric guitars or acoustic guitars. I was talking to a friend of mine who runs a very, very big guitar shop here in Asia, He was just telling me about how uncertain everything was feeling. We really don't know what's going to happen. That's one. Secondly, even for me, even though I am doing guitar YouTube in a way of speaking, so this is not purely a guitar channel, it's become a little stale, it's become a little uninteresting. There's only so many times you can find the perfect Strat. There's only so many times that you can find the perfect Les Paul. There's only so many times you can get excited about an overdrive pedal. There's only so many times that you get my gist. So even for me, while for me, when I make content on this channel, it's purely flow of thought, whatever comes to my mind, whatever idea comes to my mind. But I can imagine that if I was sitting around and thinking about topics to make, it would be very difficult, because it feels like almost every video that can be made has been made. So yeah, I think there was something special going on. There was something special going on in that nascent era of guitar YouTube, in that nascent era of local shops suddenly discovering a global audience, which I forgot to mention. So many of my guitar collection that you see next to me has come from global shops who have a little bit of a presence, internet presence, and then I was able to scout them out, and they were able to ship to Singapore, enjoying all the free trade and everything that we could. I think if I just find any shop on the internet now and ask them to ship, it's going to be a lot more difficult post April 2025. So that era of freely shipping guitars between borders, relatively speaking, is gone. Right? Even right now, not that I'm particularly worried about, but I'm like, yeah. Now it looks like it's like there was a merry-go-round, or there's a game. I don't know if you guys have that game in other parts of the world, where everybody's dancing, and then when the music stops, everybody needs to get onto a chair. I think it's called musical chairs, and the one person left without a chair is kind of left with what they have. I feel like the music has stopped. You have rushed onto the chair that you have. You have the guitars that you have, and now getting new interesting guitars at good prices, or getting new exciting stuff, or all of that feels like it's gone away a little bit. Or maybe it feels like that to me, because maybe I am a little bit overexposed to this entire guitar thing, having been deeply into the hobby for a long time, since 2004 playing, but definitely since 2015, deeper into understanding how guitars sound, how guitars work. So perhaps it's just the case for me, but I suspect it's very similar for other people as well, because there is a point where it reaches oversaturation, and there's a point where you pine for things to be simpler. Definitely a point where is definitely a point that you pine for things to be less expensive in the guitar world, for the kind of quality that you can get. Yeah, that's what it is. So as much as I love the 60s, 70s, and 80s, I was not born in the first two, and in the 80s I was a baby, so I can't remember anything. For me, the golden era of guitar really was the mid 2010s, all the way till the pandemic. And I wish we come back to a new golden era, but looking at how things are in April 2025, is looking a touch difficult. Anyways, let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you feel similarly as well, and I'll see you next time.